Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to Smartphone Astro and Deep Sky Dan. And if you don't already know, yes, I am Deep Sky Dan. Thanks for stopping by my Smartphone Astro channel. In this video, I am going to be showing you just how I stack all my eyepiece projection images, my afocal images, in a free program called Sequator. Now, there are a few different stacking programs, but I particularly like Sequator because of the features it has, and it allows me to stack my afocal images much better than the other free program, Deep Sky Stacker. I rarely use that one, so I wanted to show everybody just how I do this, and you're going to see my exact workflow so you can use it to do your afocal images as well. Now, I know a lot of people like Deep Sky Stacker. I don't particularly like it. I haven't gotten very good results with it with these particular images. Now, a lot of people do use it for their dedicated Astro cam or their DSLR cams, and that's a whole different story. But for my smartphone images that I get, these eyepiece projection images, Sequator works a lot better for me, and it's actually quite easy to use, and I'm going to show you how to do that in today's hopefully helpful video. So please follow along in this video. Alright, let's get started. So if you're looking at my screensaver here, you'll notice this big beautiful galaxy. This is a colliding pair of colliding galaxies, the antenna galaxies, and you can see they are coming together in a beautiful celestial dance here, with a tail of dust coming off of this one and a tail of dust coming off of this one. And I can't imagine how many thousands of years it's taken to get to just this point, and how many thousands of years it's taken for this light to get to Earth to be imaged. So I imagine it doesn't look like this anymore. But this image here that you're seeing, this is one of my buddy Mark Hansen's images. He has two telescopes down in El Sauz, Chile. Him and his buddy Mike Selby, they do awesome work with those two telescopes. They're big, beautiful plane wave telescopes, and this is one of his recent images. I love galaxies, if you know me, so I always usually have a galaxy background here. Alright, well, let's get started. So go ahead and make sure you have Sequator downloaded to your laptop, and if you don't already, I will provide a link to the proper download website to get that. Make sure you get that put on your PC so you can follow along. And I will also give you some data to follow along that I will be using. So if you don't already have yours, you can use mine to practice with. And then in the future, if you want to actually try processing that data, you can do that as well. Just remember, if you post it anywhere online, please tag me or link me and give me credit for that particular data. But the processing is all you. So like I said earlier, there is Deep Sky Stacker, and this is the program, and I literally use this very rarely. Sometimes I will try it, but I really don't like the results with my images, so I have not been using that. I've been using Sequator here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that up and show you how to do that today. Now, the data I will be using, let's go over that really quickly. I'm going to be using some recent data I got from a new telescope that I received from SV Boni Astronomy. They have been gracious enough to send me one of their SV503 70 ED doublet refractors along with the SV193 0.8 times reducer and an SHO filter set. They really liked what I was doing with my smartphone Astro channel and some of the images I've been creating, and they wanted to see what I could do with my Galaxy S10 Plus and one of their OTAs. So they were gracious enough in a nice collaboration to send all that stuff over to me, and I will be doing a telescope review video on that as well, so look for that in the future. Now, this image that you're seeing here, this was literally a first test image that I got from that telescope. Now, a 70 millimeter lens isn't very big, and when I'm looking through it with my eyepiece, it's really hard to see the stars, and it's really hard to line up the stars accurately to get them in proper focus. I didn't have a batten-off mask, so it was really hard to get focus, but it was just a test image anyway. And if I zoom in here, you can see my stars were not very good, but here is Bode's, and here's the cigar. You can clearly see them, but yeah, stars were not quite in focus at all, but that's okay because we still got a decent image out of it anyway. I was able to extract some details and work on the stars a little bit in post-processing, but that's not what today's video is about. Today's video is just to show you how to stack these afocal images and get a proper output, because a lot of people I know that stack these, a lot of times they get a big mess and they wonder what's going on. So I'm going to show you today just my own personal workflow and how to do that. So this is the data that we'll be using, like I said, from my SV Bony Astronomy 70ED doublet refractor. This is about 45 minutes of data here, and I've got some processed data down here already, but I'm going to be using this particular data for stacking just for demonstration purposes only, and I will include this data in the description below, so if you don't have your own, you can practice with mine, and if you want to further go and process that and practice in Photoshop, you can do that as well. Just remember, if you post that online anywhere, I would appreciate it if you tag me in your link, or give me credit for the data, but the processing is all you. So have a go at it. Now, I will include all that in the description, so if you don't have that, check that out. Alright, let's get started. So open up your Sequator, and this is what you're going to see. Now, we've got two boxes here, and we're going to start at the top. Star images. This is where we're going to load all our light data in. So there's two ways to do that. You can just double click on it and just go find the file. Mine's already brought up here, you can see, or you can right click on it and click add. Now, the reason why they have the add in there is, for example, say you put some data in here and you have more you want to add in a different file, you can just right click it and add, and you can go in and put in more data. So it doesn't really matter how you start in the beginning. Just go, there's either way you can do that. Now let's go ahead and drop in our data. Now there's these ones I don't want to put in, so I will take those out. Now I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to do Control A, which is going to select all, and then I'm going to come down here and hold the Control button, and I'm going, oops, we don't want to do that. So we don't want to do that. I'm going to take these out. I don't want to add these into that stack. These are not going to work. Okay, now that we've got that selected, all that data, go ahead and click open, and then you can see 78 files were put in, and then what it's going to do is it's going to choose a base image. It will automatically choose a base image for you. Now, if you don't particularly like that base image, you can click here into your base image, and you can go ahead and change that to one that you may like. So please remember that. That is important. This is the base image that all other images will be stacked on. So you want to have the best image to use for your bottom stacking image. This is what all others will be aligned to and stacked to. And you can see this one looks pretty good. Like I told you before, my stars weren't so perfect. That's okay. Don't really worry about that. Now, once that's done, you're going to want to add in your noise images, which are your darks, and your vignetting, which are your flats. Now, if you're not doing darks and flats, don't worry. You don't have to touch these. Now, I do darks and flats, so if I click on that and I want to add in my calibration frames, which I will be doing, I already have calibration frames, my darks and flats. I have a library that I keep with all the particular temperatures for these, and I image this data in January, and usually I write the date where I created these darks, and I write the temperature. Temperature is very important. So that was in January, the end of January, I believe. It was pretty darn cold at that time. So I've got some here, looks like in January, -8 degrees, which I believe it was. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add these in, Control All, and my vignetting. I'm going to come back in here and my calibration frames, and I already have some flats frames taken. Now I do have a master flat. You don't want to use that in Sequator. You don't want to use your masters. For Sequator, you want to use just the single images only. And there, boom. Now we've got all those added in. Now I want to choose an output file. Where do I want my output image to go? Double click on that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here to my same file where all of my images were. Now you have to choose a name. So I'm in here and I want to choose something. I'm just going to say demo M81 M82 for example. Now hit save, and it's going to put it in that file that I chose under this name. Alright, so now we've got that done, we can move down here. Now this is the important part, really important part. So this is how you're going to choose alignment. And if I go into here, there's a couple different things I can choose. Composition, you can align the stars with accumulation, select best pixels, blah 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 blah. There's a lot going on here. Now what I want to do for this particular afocal stacking program is I'm going to come down here to freeze ground. I want to choose, make sure it's on align stars and freeze ground. This is important. Now you see if you hover over here, it'll tell you exactly what each one does to give you an idea. For freeze ground, make sure you have selective on, and what this will do is it will, you can see it's written there, it will remove aircraft, meteors, UFOs, whatever is in the image that you don't want. For example, power lines. If you have power lines like I did in some of my images running through here, it will remove them. If you got airplanes going by, satellite trails, whatever, it will take that out. So I always have that selected, selective on. Now freeze ground, remember, align stars, freeze ground, and selective. Now the next important thing I'm going to do is come down here, and you can see it's in red. Click on it, and then make sure you're on irregular mask. Make sure it is on irregular mask. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our image, and you can see this circle. This is important because we need to choose what we want to stack. We don't want to stack all this black dark out here. We want to align everything in here. And the way to do that is to hold click and just hold your click down, your mouse down, and go around nice and slowly and easily and try to get all this light data in your image. Try not to get any of that black outer ground outside, and if you do get a little bit of it, that's okay. And if you get too much, you think you got too much of it, you can actually come back over here and you can hit reset. But the good thing is you can stop and start anytime, and you can just go around slowly. I like to outline first to try to get as much as I can in here without really going into that black. That we want to avoid that black at all costs. And like I said, if you get just a little bit of it, that's okay, but try to avoid it. So now that I've got that done, go in here and get that. Now that looks pretty good. But like I said, if you want to reset it, there you go, reset. You can come back over here, and first thing I do is usually like to just go around and outline really nice and slow and get all that outlined and done first, so then I can go back in the center, and I just take my time, hold that mouse button down, and if you miss a little, you can go back and get it again, and just try to get as much of that light as possible. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Remember that. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. You can leave a little bit on the edge there if you're not sure. That is okay. So this is important to make sure you have these selections. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do, auto brightness. I usually leave that off. High dynamic range, I'm going to click on that because that's going to help me later in processing. I like to use a high HDR range. Now, if you don't have darks at all, you can click on remove dynamic noises. You can click this on. I recommend using this if you don't have dark frames, but if you do have dark frames, leave that off. Reduce distortion effects is on auto. Always leave that on auto. Reduce light pollution. This can be used if you click on it. You can put it on deep sky, and you can put it on weak or strong. Now, if you put it on strong, your output image is going to be really crazy looking. I don't recommend going any more than medium, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't go any further than like here, but I don't even use it because I don't like the output with it. I don't like what it does to my images, so I don't use it. Now you can enhance your starlight if you want, and there's some other options down here. Merge 4 pixels, I leave that off. Time lapse off. Your color space is always sRGB. I leave it there. And so these are the settings that I use. Now if you don't have darks or flats, that's okay. Remember, you don't have to use them. You can still stack without darks and flats. And if you don't have darks and you're imaging in RAW, of course we're imaging RAW, you can use this one, remove dynamic noises, and it will help with your darks, take out some of those hot pixels and whatnot, so you can click that on. So make sure you do have that done correctly. Now wasn't that pretty simple? So now all we have to do is, once we got all that done, go ahead and click Start. does that look? That looks pretty good, I think. We got it all on the edges there, and we don't have any strange looking artifacts or anything. But let's go ahead and check the image and just see what it looks like on our PC. So this is the file where I had it saved. Here it is right here, right up front. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And let's bring it up and have a look and just see what it looks like. All right, I think zooming in, and that looks pretty good. There is our Bode's Galaxy, there's our Cigar Galaxy, and there is NGC 3077, I believe it was. But as you can see, my stars were not so good, so they were not completely focused well at all. But that's okay, not really worried about the stars so much. This was just some test images. But man, I can really see that Bode's Galaxy in there. This is 45-minute stack. There's the core, and I could see that arm span going out this way. And then over here, look at that. Our Cigar Galaxy, you can see some really nice detail in there as well. I think that stack looks pretty good. This is pretty much essentially the same stack that you'll see that I processed. It looks pretty good. Where was that other little Galaxy NGC 377? Let's back out and see if I can find that one. Where was it? Hiding. Here it is right here. Okay, let's have a zoom in on that, have a look. Yeah, so we got that one in there as well. Not so worried about the stars, that's okay, but that came out pretty good. So that is how you stack data in Sequator. Now, the important thing is when you go ahead and you process this, I want to go even just a little further real quick with you, and I'm going to bring open my Photoshop here, and I am going to load that into Photoshop just to kind of show you what you want to do when you after stacking these eyepiece projection images, what's really important to do. Okay, there it is. So really quick, I just want to show you in Photoshop. Now when I process all my images, I don't process this whole image like this. What you want to do is on the outside here you have a lot of vignetting and you have a lot of star deformation. A lot of strange things happen on the edge of your eyepiece here. Whenever I image something, I always try to get it in the center where it is flat field. And what I'm going to do is I always crop my images. I always crop them and process them that way. Because if you don't, you're trying to process a lot of strange things. And what I do is kind of just a general crop here. You can see right along the line here, this ring is where it starts to get a lot of curvature. So this is what I do is I usually crop in. We don't want to do that. I usually just crop in. Let me reset that real quick. Crop. I crop in on it, and once you get that crop, you have a nice image to work with. So I'm cutting out the other galaxy, but just for demonstration purposes, let me just show you real quick. And now that I've got that cropped in, now I have a nice area to process. And this is what I do with all my images, and this is what I recommend that you do with yours as well. Otherwise you're going to have a lot of headaches to deal with. Okay, so now that I've got that shown to you, we did our Sequator. We've got that saved. Everything looks good. So that is how I stack all my eyepiece projection images. This is my exact workflow. I hope this was super helpful for you guys. Sorry it took me so long. I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time, and I just realized, oh man, I gotta make that video. So everybody out there, I appreciate all the people who are following this channel, who have such an interest in smartphone astro, doing astrophotography with their phones and telescope, and even those who don't have a telescope and smartphone and who are just still interested in this anyway. Thank you for all your follows and likes and questions and comments. I appreciate everybody out there. And if you don't already know my social media, I will be putting those at the end of this video. And I've also started a Patreon account. Please check that out, patreon.com/DeepSkyDan. If you like this channel, you like my videos, like what I'm doing, and you want to support me, go check that out, patreon.com/DeepSkyDan. If not, no worries, that's okay. I'm still going to be making videos anyway. But check that out if you have a second. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm looking forward to getting out, getting some more data. It's galaxy season finally. I am excited. I just hope the weather cooperates. I just got some recent data on a couple galaxies that I've been really wanting to image. I busted out my Edge 8 for that, so I'm going to be processing those soon and posting on my social media. Alright guys, thanks again. Appreciate you, each and every one of you. Thanks for watching. Clear skies, everybody. Take care.